Listener discretion is advised.
Dang. Right. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Mm-hmm. Their worst chef's kiss.
Four thumbs down.
Oh, 6 thumbs way down.
Who's got 2 thumbs and is tired?
Me. This gal.
She goes like this.
2 thumbs? Me.
Got
Get
him.
it.
All right. Speaking of me, I'm Kenyan.
Speaking of me, I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
So we have a very special fan pick this week, brought to you by the badass bitch, Aubrey Kloop.
Ugh.
Kloop, there it is.
Kloop. There it is.
Scooping the kloop.
Kloop, kloop, badoop, kloop,
Kloop-a-doop. Kloop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop.
So Aubrey has selected the topic of badass bitches.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this episode already.
It was really hard to pick a case.
There are so many badass bitches.
Yeah. And there's so many different directions you could go and like ways you can be a
Yeah.
badass
Mm-hmm.
bitch.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I'm happy with my choice, but
Me
I also
too.
want to cover a bunch of the other cases that I stumbled across.
I
eventually.
saved so many listicles
Uh-huh.
I have
for
a whole,
later.
I have a whole doc on my desktop, basically of listicles.
Yeah, they're great places. Literally, like every topic we've ever done has
There's a listicle out there
some
already.
kind of listicle for it.
Oh,
Maybe not foreskin forensics.
I bet you I could find it. Foreskin listicle Google
Oh.
search. Here we go.
Did you
Most
mean
of
foreskin testicle?
What?
I just felt like that would be the Google.
Oh, no. 90%,
Results are not great.
90% of my research comes from listicles.
Right.
So even
Yeah.
if not for you guys,
It's how I
Definitely for me.
pick my cases. It's not where I get information.
Uh-huh.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It helps
Yeah.
me narrow things down because a lot of these topics, like this one, there are so many.
Mm-hmm.
So
a testicle
love it.
listicle.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get to it, Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for badass bitches?
Well, it's a very fitting pairing, which I forgot to chill, so I'm going to leave it until the very last second in my little icebox next to me. Because not only is this a badass pairing, there is a badass new special offer from Winc Wine Club, our favorite online wine club, which delivers
Love a new
wine
offer.
directly to your door.
Good
Come and knock on our door. Wine is waiting for you. Yeah. So, Winc Wine Club, we love them. They are an incredible online wine club with an unbelievable selection of wines. And I always say this, every time is a great time to dive in and give it a try because they're always changing it up. The wines like change with the season. Obviously, that's how plants work. And right now, for at least a limited time, you can get 4 bottles for $29.95 plus free shipping from Winc by
4
going
bottles.
to 4 bottles for $29.95 and free shipping.
That's like the cost of like one sort of nice bottle.
Right?
You're getting 4 super nice bottles
Yeah.
and free shipping.
It's a good deal.
It's literally the most badass deal. And you can get that deal by heading to trywinc.com. That's TRYWINC.com/wine and crime special, because it's special for you and it's from Wine and Crime. One more time, that's trywinc.com/wine and crime special to get 4 bottles for $29.95 and free shipping from Winc.
Also, Mother's Day is coming up, so you're probably going to want the wine.
Enjoy your last minute gift for mom and refuge for you. So today We are drinking the Sister Snake Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, that's a good
Nice.
one.
Right? Felt
Very
like the right
nice.
pairing.
Yeah.
Because whether we take a path of like evil badassery or maybe like chaotic good badassery, Sister Snake, it
Works.
fits.
Yeah.
You're my sister snakes.
You two are too, my twin snakes, like the gummies. This is a beautiful, crisp, succulent Sauv Blanc from the Western Cape region of South Africa.
Oh.
Never heard of
it. Good wine.
Yes. It's fruit forward, but with a nice dry finish. You're going to get tasting notes of grapefruit, lemon, mandarin orange, pineapple, like these really kind of tart, citrusy.
You're speaking Malang.
Oh, God. Chef's kiss. Oh. It's so good. It is, they describe it as a snappy Sauvignon Blanc with just the right bite, which I feel like is perfect.
I need this now.
Add to cart.
Yeah.
It's also,
Open the app immediately.
please do. It's also sustainably made and it is incredibly well balanced. It has a nice, bright, zippy citrus note that's tempered by just a hint of those tropical fruits. So that's where that pineapple comes in. So it's not like all acidic, all tart. It's like mellowed out by like just a touch of sweetness. Finish is nice and dry. It's perfect. It's like your new dream wine for the summer. So just go load up on it right now.
And Sauv Blanc is like the sisterhood wine. You know what I mean?
Drinking it now, honey.
About to. Light and batty, 12.6% ABV. So it's going to get you there, but it's not going to knock your
Modest.
socks off. You know? And for all my diabetic friends, low sugar winemaking.
Nice.
Get after it. All right, let me reach out of the frame momentarily to fetch this out of my icebox and pray that it's like a little bit cold.
I hope John adds in like circus music.
I'm logging into my Winc app right now to order this shit.
I might order a mini fridge.
I mean, it's not going to be
Still haven't
perfect,
yet.
but it'll be good.
The pop?
I'm the wine temperature.
Oh.
I did the best I could. Once I pour myself a little taste, I'll put the bottle back in
It's
the fridge.
available. Sister Snake. It's available.
Yeah, it's not sold out. It's not sold out. Load up.
Getting
Load up.
several bottles.
I mean, if you use
3?
trywink.com
Four?
Four.
Wine and Crime
You get
Special.
$29.95.
Put four
You know
of them in
what?
there.
I'm going right now too.
There's
it.
there's another Sauvignon Blanc that's described as quaffable, our favorite.
Oh, I love a quaffable Sauv.
Getting a couple
All right.
of those.
I almost popped without popping. We ready?
Premature pop.
I almost premature popped. Here we go.
Ooh.
Straight to the
delicate.
point.
Such a delicate pap.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to pour myself
What
just a
bitchy
bit
pop.
in my Plan Ahead Salt Your Dead rocks glass
Nice.
and then put this back in the fridge so that when I reload at the end of Lucy's case, it'll actually be cold.
All right. Well, speaking of Lucy's seg,
Oh, yeah,
What
not case,
is-
seg.
what
We've
is
only been
our-
doing this for 4 years.
background and maybe psych for badass bitches. I'm curious to see what direction you go with this.
Well, kind of funny that we're doing Karen crimes and badass bitches consecutively because my segment is sort of related to last week's segment about Karen crimes. So today I'm going to focus on the word bitch.
Oh.
It's a lot to unpack here.
I hope it's
Merriam-Webster.
just the song I'm a
Bitch by
bitch,
Meredith
I'm a-
Brooks.
Yeah. Just
Which I
red.
listen to
We might get to it.
daily.
So good.
It's my theme song. It's my anthem. Merriam-Webster has a robust definition with, as always, some oddly specific examples that I'm pretty sure are just pulled off the internet, like auto-populated,
Great.
because they're so absurd. So as a noun, bitch means the female of the dog or some other carnivorous animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example sentence, the behavioral endocrinology of both male dogs and bitches is quite unique and differs from that of most other mammals. I also found out that male dogs are called studs.
Yeah.
Oh.
So studs and bitches.
Yeah, but you never hear them. They never call the stud the stud. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's
I
always
they
very
do
jarring
in-
when you
in
hear
breeding,
like a
they
dog
do.
breeder.
Yeah. But not just like
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the daily. Look at
Right.
this stud.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that both have been like used as outside of animal husbandry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2A, it's an informal and often offensive, meaning a malicious, spiteful, or overbearing woman.
Woman. And not
2B,
an unquaffable woman.
2B, informal and offensive, used as a generalized term of abuse and disparagement for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, informal, something that is extremely difficult, objectionable, or unpleasant. So, for example, aspirin overdoses are a bitch to treat.
Okay. Specific.
You're right.
Okay. Making challah is a bitch. How about that?
July and August are always a bitch in the subway.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh, I can smell it. Ugh. Number
I
4.
I can taste July on the subway.
Yeah.
Ew.
It's pungent.
That's gross. That's Gwyneth Paltrow's next scandal.
Oh no.
How would she know? She's
That's
definitely
fair.
never been on the subway.
Ever in her life.
Yeah.
Informal as a complaint, for example, my biggest bitch with all of CBS's golf is that there's no personalization.
Or can I just bitch for a second?
Just a second. About
Yeah.
CBS's golf.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's used as a verb, the way that
Oh.
you just said it, but this is like as a noun,
Like
my biggest
noun
bitch,
for
my biggest
complaint.
complaint. But as a verb, bitched, bitching, bitches, the definition of to bitch as an intransitive verb is to complain. As
Bitch has got a bitch.
bitch has got a bitch, clearly. We're making a living off of bitching.
Yeah,
True.
there's a lot to bitch about.
As a transitive verb, 1, to spoil or botch, they bitched up their lives.
All right.
That's a little bit of a
Some of
stretch.
these are a stretch.
Yeah, that's
Some
not
of these
a
are
sentence.
a bitch.
Maybe like in Australia where they like have weird lingo.
Or their
but, like,
toilets flush the wrong way.
yeah,
Real life.
to bitch something up.
Blow up.
No, that's not a thing.
I bitched up these shrimp on the babby. And then all of our Australian listeners unsubscribed.
Our Apple Podcast reviews are about to get bitched up.
That dingo really bitched up that baby.
Oh no, too
That's not-
soon.
yeah.
Too soon.
I mean, it's been a while. Or to cheat or double cross or to complain of or about. So clearly this is quite a versatile word. And here are some more examples from Urban Dictionary, because Urban Dictionary is fucking absurd. So as a term of endearment, hey bitch,
Yes. Spooky
Joy.
little bitch.
Spooky
Exactly.
little bitch. Yeah.
joy, oh my god bitch, anticipation, bitch guess what? And shock or pain, for example, I stubbed my toe, ah bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
I usually say Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
That's my
That-
go-to.
also
My-
works.
My new go-to is just balls.
Call a priest.
Call the priest.
Call a priest.
I stubbed my toe. Call the priest.
Go listen to Special Thanks for that
God
throwback.
damn it. We were
Hammered.
hammered last night. It was amazing. Okay. Envy. She's such a bitch.
This bitch.
Fear. Bitch, what was that noise? Surprise. Bitch. Warning. Bitch, don't try me. Or despair. Bitch.
Oh, bitch.
I didn't get the last one, but whatever.
What about like? I feel like there's also like there's also like to be a little bitch, which is not quite the same as to be.
We'll get to it.
Okay,
We'll get. I've
It's
got a
still
lot.
misogynist.
My notes
Right.
are girthy this
Okay.
week.
Oh, fuck.
So this is from Wikipedia, and it is crucial to note that the phrase bitch please redirects to this page. But there's like a song by Eminem that's its own page, and there's a song by Snoop Dogg that's its own page. But if you just do bitch please without the comma, it redirects to the Wikipedia page for bitch.
Okay.
It sent me around in circles.
Bitch is a wild bitch chase.
A wild goose bitch. Bitch is a pejorative slang word for a person, usually a woman. When applied to a woman or girl, it means someone who is belligerent, unreasonable, malicious, controlling, aggressive, or dominant. When applied to a man or boy, bitch reverses its meaning and is a derogatory term for being subordinate, weak, or cowardly.
So
Amazing.
a little bitch.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
That it means the opposite things.
For a man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the undesirable traits for either stereotypical binary gender.
Right.
Blech. Clearly, the word fosters sexism on both sides, and yet it is one of the most common swear words in the English language. According to Dr. Timothy J., there are over 70 different taboo words in English, but 80% of the time, only 10 of those words are used, and bitch is included in that set.
Oh, so it's a top 10.
It's a top 10.
Also, there are
Look
only
at that
70 taboo words.
Top 10 taboo words.
Yeah, I want that
listicle.
whole list. I
think
want to make
fuck
it into
is number one.
wallpaper.
But I'm wondering if like bitch and son of a bitch are two different ones, or ass and asshole are two different ones.
Maybe.
No, I feel like then it would be a much bigger list. Don't you?
There's no
I
way
need
to
find
know.
this list.
I
'Cause
didn't
I'm
look
not
up.
going to look for the list.
I didn't look up the list. But I did find a map that shows the prevalence of the word bitch across the United States, and it shows that it's much more common in the South and much less so between the Mississippi River and the Continental Divide. There is a photo on the drive of this map. Also, FYI, the word with the biggest concentration in Minnesota is darn.
I don't see this
As
map.
a taboo word.
Yeah, it's
So
like a swear.
So it's so taboo. Darn.
Darn. But basically, it's like not used hardly at all in like the middle of the country, and then like the South, the East, like the deep South was like bright red.
Interesting. Okay.
So the term bitch, as I stated, literally means a female dog, fox, wolf, or otter.
Female wolves? Well, no, not that's obvious. Female foxes?
Female otters. Are
Yeah, that's
bitches.
the weird one.
Yeah, they're all weird.
Yeah.
I only knew the dog one, really.
It applies to all like canines, which would include wolves and like, I guess, fox, but
Yeah.
otters was the outlier
feels
to
like
me.
an outlier, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Its original use as a vulgarism carried a meaning suggesting high sexual desire in a woman comparable to a dog in heat. That's where it came from.
I've still heard a bitch in heat
Yeah.
as like a phrase. Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of old-timey, a bitch in heat.
Mhm. I like how that old-timey misogyny just hits. It hits just
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
It
really
rolls off
slaps.
the tongue because of the casual ways they used it back in the day. Fits like a Gossip at the Corpse Cart sweatshirt from the Wine and Crime merch store.
Nice.
Hugs you.
Yeah, fine.
Hugs you
Subtle.
tight.
Nice and long.
Or loose, depending on how you order your shirts.
I love them loose. The range of meanings has expanded
Loose
in
as
modern.
a bitch in heat.
Ick. God damn it. Should I add that to the big cartel description?
Yes. Yes.
No.
Long,
Yes.
flowing, and loose like a bitch in heat. Ew.
Please.
No. The range of meanings has expanded in modern usage, such as when applied to a man.
Or a sweatshirt.
Oh, my lord. In a feminist context, it can indicate a strong or assertive woman and has therefore been reappropriated by some women. So, for example, Bitch Media, which publishes Bitch Magazine, among other things, and whose statement is, in part, Bitch Media's mission is to provide and encourage an engaged, thoughtful feminist response to mainstream media and popular culture. The writer Rebecca West said, quote, "People call me a feminist whenever I express sentiments that differentiate me from a doormat. We'd argue that the word bitch is usually deployed for the same purpose. When it's being used as an insult, bitch is an epithet hurled at women who speak their minds, who have opinions and don't shy away from expressing them, and who don't sit by and smile uncomfortably if they're bothered or offended. If being an outspoken woman means being a bitch, we'll take that as a compliment.
Bitches get shit done.
According to the Oxford English Dictionary, good old OED, the term bitch comes from the Old English word, and I'm not going to pronounce this correctly.
Bitch.
Bitch. Bitch. Or
Bitch.
bitch. Bocce ball, meaning female dog, which dates to around 1000 CE. It may have derived from
Christ even.
It may have derived from the earlier Old Norse word bikkja, also meaning female dog. So dog has long been used as an insult toward both women and men. In ancient Greece, dog was often used in a derogatory sense to refer to someone whose behavior was improper or transgressive. This could include...
Or a bounty hunter.
Oh, the bounty hunter. My cameo from Dog the Bounty Hunter is my favorite thing.
I need you to resend it to me because it's... I forgot to save it, and I really want to cherish it.
It's in my email. I'll forward it to you both.
Please do.
We've already talked about
look
this,
it
but
up.
I have so little sense of who this is.
Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Like, I know that name. We've talked about this
Kenyon was
before.
an expat during the peak of dogs' relevance, so
Does
I
he
don't blame
search
her.
for dogs?
No.
He's a bounty
hunter of like
Okay.
humans.
Okay.
His
We've
wife
talked
died of
about
cancer.
this. I just don't remember.
He has an incredible peroxide blonde mullet
Yes.
with like strands of it like beaded and braided, you know?
It's a mess.
He's Hawaiian. You'll recognize him when you see him on the cameo.
The moment you see him, you'll recognize
Okay.
him.
This could include shamelessness or a lack of restraint, lack of hospitality, lack of loyalty, and indiscriminate or excessive violence, among other qualities. Over time, classicist C. Franco argues a, quote, persistent symbolic connection developed between dogs and women in Greek literature that expressed and reinforced women's subordinate position in society and their supposedly inferior nature.
Okay, so just because women have good bonding relationships with animals, now
I don't think that's what
I don't
my
think
love
that's
of
right.
dogs
So
being
because I love
demonized
Greek dogs, I'm a bitch? Is that what I'm
Just-
getting?
just because I am incensed.
I love Greek.
Okay.
I don't know where Amanda was when I was reading that, but I think you missed the point.
I only heard the parts I needed to hear.
Yeah, clearly.
That women have a deep, unwavering connection with
No.
dogs.
That's not at all.
No, it's,
What she was
That's
saying.
verbatim what she said.
it's fine. We'll keep going. She might catch up later.
She'll tune back in at some point.
Talk more about dog kinship, female and dog kinship.
Good
And I'm in.
Lord. Okay.
Still missing it. Okay.
There may also be a connection between less literal senses of bitch and the Greek goddess Artemis. As she is the goddess of the hunt, she was often portrayed with a pack of hunting dogs and sometimes transformed into an animal herself, like an animorph.
Yes.
Cool.
She was seen as free, vigorous, cold, impetuous, unsympathetic, wild, and beautiful.
Okay, well, I love her.
that. Yeah.
Cold.
Cold.
Cold. Check.
I strive to one day
Unsympathetic.
be
Check.
cold.
I'm a frigid bitch, personally. From English language historian Geoffrey Hughes, quote, the early applications were to a promiscuous or sensual woman, a metaphorical extension of the behavior of a bitch in heat. Herein lies the original point of the powerful insult, son of a bitch, which was
Oh.
originally said as bitchison. around the year 1330 in it's Shakespeare, the Arthur and Merlin. Isn't that Shakespeare?
Oh.
So with a spirited exchange in the Chester play around 1400, a character demands, "Whom callest thou queen, scab de bitch?" Which translates to, "Who are you calling a whore, you miserable bitch?"
Okay, well, I love that.
I
Isn't
said
really
queen, but
not
it's like
Shakespeare.
No, but isn't Shakespeare like...
Arthur and Merlin. What was that
Isn't
from?
Shakespeare responsible for like a lot of modern day quote unquote
Yes,
profanity?
but he was way later than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was hundreds of years later than this.
Well,
But the
I'm
King
seeing
Arthur
is-
stories were just like stories that were passed down, and then eventually like La Mort d'Arthur became a thing, and I don't know. We're now reaching Thomas Mallory. We're now reaching the end of my knowledge.
Well,
We've arrived at that end.
Don't email us. Don't at me. The entry for bitch in Francis Gross's Diary of the Vulgar Tongue, which I need.
Order it.
Well, it
Yeah,
was
that's a
written in-
business expense.
It was written in 1765, so it might just be like one tome.
It's
in
a
like,
it's a pamphlet. Yeah.
So this reads, quote, "A she-dog or doggess, the most offensive appellation that can be given to an English woman.
I'm calling Lucy a dog-ass from now on. No,
Dog-ass.
not Lucy.
Dog-ass.
I don't know why I said Lucy. I meant Callie, my pet.
So many dogs are named Lucy.
God.
I'm going to choose to ignore that.
I mean, there are very few beings on this planet that I love more than my dog. So it's kind of a compliment to mix you two up. Equally stunning, lovable.
I'm going to move on. I have nothing to say to that. Okay.
My sweet dog-ass.
Even more provoking than that of whore, and maybe gathered from the regular Billingsgate or St. Giles answer, which are neighborhoods in London. I may be a whore, but I'm not a bitch.
Oh.
So, like a bitch was
So
like
take that.
in
Really bad.
1765. Bitch was basically like the word cunt today.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it sounds like the offensiveness of the word really peaked in the 19th century and then became increasingly less insulting, probably due to overuse.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1920s, the word came back in vogue as an insult to women. Great. Between 1915 and 1930, the use of bitch in newspapers and literature more than doubled.
Wow. That feels like early to be using the word bitch in newspapers. Doesn't
Yeah. I don't know. You're
It's
the one
never
with the
too early for
newspapers.com.
misogyny.
it? I know. I just feel like I'd be surprised to see the word bitch spelled out in a newspaper today.
It's misogyny o'clock somewhere.
That's true. Bing,
Great.
bing, bing.
That was so dumb.
It landed.
The writings of Ernest Hemingway popularized the more modern meaning of bitch in this era. So he used it to represent favorable qualities such as ferocity, edginess, and grit. And I can't wait to go to the Hemingway house in Key West.
That's some
in a
Although a
few months.
misogynist monster in many other ways, I do love his works and his house in Key West.
And all the cats with all the fingers.
Okay.
He used it to represent, I already said that. It was during this time that women began gaining more freedom, such as the right for white women to vote through the 19th Amendment. These new civil rights that some women gained, upset the male-dominated society, threatening misogynist men of the time. The word bitch during the 20s meant malicious or consciously attempting to harm, difficult, annoying, or interfering, and sexually brazen or overly vulgar.
Just throw it at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what, bitch?
If they complain, just call them a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. That'll shut him up. The word has evolved quite a bit in the 20th century. In the
Quite a bitch.
Quite a bitch. In the 1939 film The Women, so fabulous, also based on a fabulous play by Claire Booth Luce. Have you seen the original The Women, not the atrocious
Loose
remake?
as a bitch in heat.
Is that a no?
Claire
No.
Booth loose as a bitch in heat.
I have not seen it.
Okay, thank you for.
As Kenyon continues to see if no one heard her or just the joke wasn't funny, I will answer your
Loose.
question.
So nobody heard me.
That's a
No.
page out of my book. Did you guys hear my joke? Okay, so in the movie, Joan Crawford could only allude to the word by saying, "And by the way, there's a name for you ladies, but it isn't used in high society outside of a kennel."
It starts with a B and it rhymes with itch.
And it stands for pool.
With a capital B and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool.
So bitchin' arose in the 1950s to describe something as cool.
Oh, bring that back.
Bitchin'.
Bitchin' was in the 1950s. I associate that with much later.
Yeah.
It
Well, it
stuck.
started in the 1950s.
Wasn't it like in the 80s?
I think that's when it was
something-
most popularized, but
Okay.
it was in the 1950s.
Interesting.
It was the 60s.
Feminist attorney Joe Freeman wrote in 1968's The Bitch Manifesto.
Have
quote,
read that.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Nice. Quote, a bitch takes shit from no one. You may not like her, but you cannot ignore her. Bitches have loud voices and often use them. Bitches are not pretty. Bitches seek their identity strictly through themselves and what they do. They are subjects, not objects. Often they do dominate other people when roles are not available to them, which more creatively sublimate their energies and utilize their capabilities. More often, they are accused of domineering when doing what would be considered natural by a man.
Yeah.
I think bitches are pretty.
Well,
I'm
that's
pretty.
not their primary purpose, I think.
Right.
is
They
what
don't
I'm saying.
they don't have to care about being pretty.
They're not ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
In 1974, Elton John had a number 4 hit called The Bitch Is Back. Yes. But it was censored by a lot of radio stations despite the word being said 42 times in the song.
It was the WAP of its day.
Incredible.
So it's just like
Can you
a
imagine?
Swiss cheese of a song.
Just the pearl clutching.
And I'm sure in 1974 they didn't have like a like how they do in songs to
Right.
kind of censor words. They just kind of
Yeah.
gloss over, warp them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was probably like beep.
I really need to give the edited version of The Bitch Is Back a listen later today.
Yeah.
That's going to
good
be my
idea.
wind down after this episode.
Yeah.
The snitch is back.
I bet there's a bitch playlist on Spotify that
Oh,
is
I
only songs with the word bitch.
Guarantee there is.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an idea
Mm.
for cortisone cream. Like for bug bites, they could say the itch is back.
I like that.
And that's their theme song.
I like that.
But then that probably wouldn't promote how good the product is.
Well, it could be at the beginning of the commercial where the cartoon mosquito was the bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then you shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Kenyon is
By
just
slapping it and
Mad
blood
Men,
bursting everywhere.
Mad Men level genius.
Well, I did have my first client for a reunion t-shirt phraseology, and that's all
We
I'm
just
gonna
launched
say.
that emporium last night.
I know. I already
It's
have
a
a client.
secret. Don't worry about it. I can't believe you brought that up.
You two conspired behind my back.
Anyway, bitch has also been
Are you making
reappro-
t-shirts for our live show?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Let's move on. Bitch has also been reappropriated by hip-hop culture. Rappers use the adjective bad bitch to refer to an independent, confident, attractive woman.
Right.
The term is used in a complimentary way, meaning the woman is desirable. So one of the first instances of bitch being used in this way is in the song Da Baddest Bitch by Trina, released in 1999.
I like.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
God, I gotta listen to WAP soon. I fucking love that song. Despite the word becoming less offensive, it's still not appropriate in a formal setting. It's also typically censored on primetime TV. Linguist Deborah Tannen says, quote, bitch is the most contemptible thing you can say about a woman, save perhaps the 4-letter C word.
Which I love.
I don't have
But a lot of people hate it. My mom, really cannot even
My mom also hates it.
stand.
I don't have a problem
the
with
C
bitch
word.
or cunt. They just don't
I
affect
don't
me in
either.
any way.
I know, I just don't care at all. But if some people do care, then
That's
obviously,
fair.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there are a lot of connotations and there's a lot of misogynist history behind those words, so maybe we haven't completely reclaimed them yet.
But we're starting to. The first time I ever heard the word cunt, I had never, ever heard it before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Never come across it. Was at the vagina monologues.
When we were in
freshmen in high school, maybe.
Yeah, we were in 9th grade.
Yeah, and we wore I like pro-choice.
We
boys
purchased them there.
T-shirts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Amanda get in trouble for wearing that to school?
I wore it on the morning announcements, and there was a whole school board meeting about it that I never knew about because
funny.
clearly they never brought any charges against me.
I wore that thing to
Charges.
school all the time. Yeah.
All
I
the
wore
time.
that. It was like my favorite T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that was the first time I ever heard the C word, cunt, and we had to chant it as an audience
Yeah,
to
it was
reclaim
awesome.
it. And I was like, this is awesome.
With just our moms.
Yeah.
That was,
It was
a
an
really
experience.
radical theatrical experience. That was
We
fun.
had fun.
Yes, we did.
Take your young children to the vagina monologues.
Mhm.
Yeah, depends on young, but take your age enough appropriate children to
We
the
were
vagina
teenagers. It was fine.
Age enough
Yeah.
appropriate.
monologues.
Well, we still had to be driven by our moms, but still.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The increased usage of the word bitch casually or in a friendly way by women has been characterized by Cheryl Kleinman as the crows have eyes, as a result of the absorption of sexist culture by women. Such usage has been cited by Kleinman et al. As increasing the perception that the word is acceptable and excusing men who use it against women. It's also argued that harmful words are often reappropriated by the groups they refer to, for example, the N-word by the Black community and the word queer by the gay community. Aisha Lane's article, Now That's a Bad Bitch, The State of Women in Hip Hop, says, quote, the change in the meaning of the word thus subverts the tools of oppression used to dominate women to now empower them.
I feel like I'm back in an intro women's studies course, and we are doing our final presentations. I'm just feeling very nostalgic right now.
So there are several backronyms. Heartless Bitches International is a club with the
Is a
slogan.
backronym a bitch acronym?
No.
Oh. Okay, I really thought.
But I really don't get what it is then.
It's
Yeah, what's a backronym?
I will explain it in about 2 seconds.
Okay.
So, Heartless
Bitch, hurry
Bitches.
up.
I'm trying, ya bitches. Because we
I
know
didn't say it.
because we know bitch means being in total control, honey. Other imagined acronyms include beautiful, intelligent, talented, creative, and honest. Or beautiful individual that causes hard-ons.
Oh my God.
Well,
Or babe in total control of herself.
So a backronym is an acronym that I hate.
a bad acronym.
Bad acronym. Oh, okay.
I think a backronym is just you have an existing word and then you invent what the acronym is. It's a retroactive acronym.
Got it.
Backronym.
A retractonym.
A bad acronym. Yes.
It's a bad.
Okay.
Just
So
a few bad acronyms.
Last but not least, I found a YouTube tutorial on American slang, and I found the episode for the word bitch, and it is so amazing. So the instructor, her name is Ronnie, talks about how ESL learners often say beach instead of bitch. So she suggests the following for pronunciation practice. Repeat after me.
Okay.
There were many bitches at the beach.
There were many bitches at the beach.
So she says it like a couple of times in the video. I also have some screen grabs while I was watching this. If you want to see Ronnie and see like her whole whiteboard of like diagramming the word bitch.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. At one point when explaining how the word is used as a noun, she had a pop-up of Donald Trump.
Saw it. So good.
Oh my God. Yeah, these screenshots of Ronnie are priceless.
Yeah. Also in the context of prison, which she's teaching this on the internet to presumably young people around the world.
Well, it's hard to learn English. English
It
is
is.
really tough.
Well, and when you take ESL in like a classroom setting, they're not necessarily teaching you vulgar slang. So
No.
this is really helpful.
I love it.
Yeah.
So she says in the context of prison, quote, he's my bitch. And then she says, that means when a man is submissive, and then winks at the camera.
okay,
Oh my God,
problematic
Ronnie.
phrase. Yeah.
Ronnie. She's playing fast and loose.
She's
Yeah.
explaining language. She's not creating it. She's not
Yeah.
responsible for people using it. She's explaining it.
She's so funny. Another gem example, she says, guess what, Bob? I'm not your bitch. Get your own beer.
Okay, so
Love
I have
that.
an anecdote. So when I was a foreign exchange student in France and learning French, there was a feminist movement in France that was really popular and rising called Ni pute ni soumise, which means neither whores nor submissives.
Okay.
And it's yeah, it was just like a feminist thing, like, you know, don't put baby in a corner, basically.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I was caught up in learning a language, and I didn't quite put together like soumise, submissive. I just kind of like half understood it at the
You
time.
didn't know what the word meant, like the connotations?
Yeah, the connotations, I guess. Like I sort of half understood it. I knew that it meant like taking orders from someone is how I was thinking of it in my head. I wasn't thinking of it as like submissive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a host sister who was like 6 years old at the time, and she was like
Oh,
really, you know, she was a 6-year-old, and she was like my sister, so she was like telling me what to do and whatever, and I shouted as like a anxious teenager. I was like, "I'm not your soumise." Like, I don't take orders from you, kind
Right.
of, but like in French. And my host mom like burst out because I meant to say like, "I'm not your maid."
Or I'm not your bitch.
Yeah, I'm not your bitch, basically. Yeah.
Basically said, like, I'm not your bottom.
Yeah. Kind of. Or it just was like a really wrong context for using that word.
Remember
I'm
when
not
you-
your submissive to a
Remember-
6-year-old.
Do you remember when you asked for condoms at the breakfast table from your French family?
Oh, I don't remember that. I remember asking
you asked
for
preservatifs. Thinking it was
Yes.
jelly, but that means condoms.
It means
That's
condoms.
funny. I had a Spanish instructor who tried to say that he was embarrassed at a dinner, and
Oh, yeah.
he used the word embarazado,
Pregnant.
which is, not what that meant. And everyone at the table burst out laughing, and they're like, well, you're embarrassed now because you just told everyone that you're pregnant, sir.
In French, excited, like excité,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean excited. It means horny.
Aroused.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
language learning. It's tough.
Anyway, bitch.
Well, let's get back to Ronnie because she's
This bitch.
full of amazing moments. So at one point, she's again explaining all the different ways you can use bitch and all their different nuances. So she says, quote, "We also talk about people being a two-faced bitch. Hi, Vanessa."
That's my cousin's name. We don't mean you, Vanessa. We mean Vanessa.
I
Whoever
mean, does
did
Vanessa
Ronnie
know
wrong.
Ronnie?
Yeah. Who the
Did
fuck?
Ronnie dirty.
Yeah.
Ronnie also says, on TV, you probably can't say son of a bitch. Come on, TV, lighten up.
Yep.
Okay, Ronnie is
Ronnie's
precious.
my hero. So lastly, she also specifically references Kristen Stewart in Twilight when explaining resting bitch face.
The accuracy.
There's a photo on the drive of that. And then Ronnie says, quote, she was married or boyfriend or girlfriend of that guy who smelled bad. I don't know his name. Anyway.
About Kristen Stewart? They were dating. They weren't married.
Does he smell bad?
Apparently
don't know.
Ronnie thinks so.
Okay.
Has Ronnie
anyway, shout out to
smelled
Ronnie from
Robert
English-
Pattinson?
Probably.
That's what I
So
want to know.
shout out to Ronnie
She's
from
a bad
English
bitch.
English Lessons for You on YouTube. You are a fucking gem.
Wow.
English and life lessons for you.
Ronnie, if you're listening, I
You're
wanna be
not,
your friend.
but if you are,
You don't know.
Well
Anyway,
done.
That's my seg.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're a bad bitch.
Thanks.
Spooky little bitch.
Are we ready for my case?
Yes.
Usually not, but here we go.
It's not, I mean, if you like really think about it, it's dark.
I don't really think so.
But it's
Amanda's fine.
I'm good.
It's
I'm
more like-
immune.
not dark in the abstract.
Okay, that's my favorite kind of darkness.
Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
A little existential dread.
Yeah.
Talk salad and existential dread. Oh my.
It's my foreplay,
Your
honey.
next tattoo.
Toss salad and scrambled existential dread. I love
You just have a whole Seattle themed quadrant.
for no reason at all.
You've been there once.
One time, and I didn't
less
see
than
the space
24
needle.
hours.
No, we were there for more than 24 hours, but
No,
I
we
refuse
were
to
more.
believe.
We were there for one night.
Yeah,
And I got my tattoo there.
you did. We had a really fun night out
can't see
in
that.
Seattle.
That was the day of my breakdown, so I needed a night to myself.
Yeah, Lucy stayed in. And I
Yep.
got after it. After
The end
live
of
show.
tour breakdowns are very real.
Oh, yeah.
I'm-
You kind of had a breakdown in the green room.
Mm-hmm.
In Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to call my mom. You had to take care of the merch booth.
Yeah. But then your little 90s buns were
You looked
so
so
cute.
cute.
I know.
You bounced
cheered
back.
Me up. You guys did my hair. It cheered me up.
You bounced back for the 3 hours that
Needed.
stage health, and then you were done. You went back to the hotel.
I'll see you guys at the airport in the morning.
Yeah, basically. We didn't see you again until climbing into a cab.
I needed that time. So
1,000%. We
That was
supported
me
it.
in San Francisco.
We
I
got
saw
hammered.
nothing of San Francisco and just slept all day.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember you even being in San Francisco.
Neither do I.
Amazing.
Okay, so my case. Non sequitur. It's out of Russia.
Of course.
It's been a minute
I know.
since you've gone back to the motherland.
I have. So you know it's going to be bonks. And so let's get right into it. Maria Leontevna Frolkova,
Okay.
Russian.
Russian, who would eventually be described in a New York Times obituary as, quote, a pugnacious, formidable, and semi-literate peasant.
Bitch.
So she doesn't make it. She died.
Nobody makes it out of
Well,
Russia.
Not
I
if you're a
mean-
pugnacious, formidable, semi-literate peasant bitch.
She was born
That's a lot.
in July.
my epitaph.
loved- When I saw the obit line, I was like, yep, my case is chosen.
Picked.
She was born in July of 1889 in Nikolsko, a small town on the bank of the Yug River.
Nice
Yug.
yugs.
Tug a yug.
Don't yug my yum.
She had huge yugs.
Yugga, yugga.
So stupid. Unbelievable.
Is it spelled like jug, but you're pronouncing it yug?
No, it's with a Y. It's Y-U-G. It's probably pronounced Yug.
It's probably pronounced jug.
But
We're going
yug
with
was
yug.
funnier.
We're going with yug. Yug all day.
Yug for the win.
So Maria's childhood was, as they say,
Yug
nasty,
takes it.
brutish, and short. It was yuggly. It really was awful, though. Like, not joking.
Oh, God.
It was yuggly.
Her father was an alcoholic who regularly abused Maria and her 3 sisters.
That's not good.
No.
I don't like that.
When she was 15 years old, probably to just try to get away from home, she married a man named Afanasy Bokarev and became Maria Bokareva.
Okay.
So that's mainly what we'll be calling her through the rest of this.
Okay.
Maria Bokareva. The newlyweds moved to Tomsk in beautiful Siberia, where they worked as laborers.
There is very little that sounds less appealing than being a laborer in Siberia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Doesn't
I'd
sound
rather
great.
take a dip in the yug.
Dip my jugs in the yug.
literally a form of torture was their career.
Yikes.
But soon Maria's new husband became abusive, and so she left him.
Mm.
She then found work ostensibly as a servant to a private family, but the job was not what it initially seemed, and Maria's employers coerced her into working as a sex worker in a brothel that they were running, so she was literally sex trafficked. So it's actually her life story up to this point and a little bit longer follows like a very classic pattern that still exists today of like a child is born into an abusive home. There's maybe some addiction issues. They try to escape either by running away or by like early marriage, but then they are re-victimized. Then they escape that. Then they are re-victimized again, possibly trafficked because they're vulnerable. Yeah.
And here we are.
And here we are. So nothing's changed in 100 years.
Since how long has man been
Yeah.
on 2 legs?
Manning.
Manning.
So she eventually escaped this situation when she met and married a man named Yakov Buk and helped him to open a butcher shop. It's unclear whether or not he was a client of the brothel.
Maybe.
It's possible. But she gets out, she marries him. So second husband. However, in 1912, Yakov was arrested for larceny and exiled from the city. And it's important to know that he was also Jewish. So that might have played a role in why he was like exiled. Because anti-Semitism in Russia, especially like during this time, was really rampant. There were still like pogroms.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say. Pogrom? Pogrom?
Pogrom. I know. I had trouble with that one for a long time. But it's pogrom. Okay. So
It's pronounced program. You're being very
get
facetious.
with
right
the program. So
I'm not touching that.
now. No.
so I do
Oh, not at all.
hot potato.
Ouch. It burns.
So anyway, but it does seem like he did commit some crimes, but I just feel like being like exiled was probably related to him being Jewish.
The punishment was clearly harsher than necessary.
So bit of an overreaction.
Ever the dutiful wife, Maria followed her exiled husband to another city where they tried to like start anew and opened a new butcher shop. But once again, Yakov was arrested for stealing and exiled again. And so Maria again had to uproot her life and follow her disgraced now second husband.
She just wants to sell her meat. Let her. Let her thrive. If she's in a butcher shop.
Oh,
well,
she's gonna
she
thrive.
was also,
She did sex work, but I'm specifically talking about her being working in a butcher shop.
Oh, it took me a second. I was just going with butcher shop.
No.
I didn't
Yes, that's the
associate.
only thing I'm going with.
She didn't sell sex with consent. So
No.
I don't consider she was a trafficking victim.
yes, she was
Yeah.
a victim.
Okay, so anyway, by this point, Yakov Buk was drinking heavily and had also become physically abusive. And on one occasion, he even attempted to hang her.
Jesus Christ.
She's had a very rough life.
Honey, no.
In 1914, Maria made the decision to leave him once and for all and return to Tomsk. And after her 2 terrible marriages, she knew she needed a way to support herself that wouldn't lead her back into a similar situation. She didn't want to depend on a man or a husband. And it was very hard to avoid in these days. As this was the early days of World War I, everyone in Tomsk was discussing the war effort, and Maria settled on the plan of enlisting in the army.
Okay.
She later recalled of her decision, quote, "My heart yearned to be there in the boiling cauldron of war, to be baptized in its fire and scorched in its lava."
She was so sick of the Siberian cold that she wanted to
She's
throw
like,
herself
warmth.
into a volcano.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a spa.
Yeah.
/ that's how fucking terrible her life was. That
Yeah.
This was preferable.
She wanted to be thrown in the boiling cauldron of war.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. She has a flair for the dramatic in her writing, and I like it.
Oh, she definitely does, and we will get to it.
Amazing.
I hope there are diaries.
No, but there's one really awesome name choice.
Okay.
So she attempted to join the Tomsk Reserve Battalion of the Imperial Russian Army, but was rejected because she was a woman.
That was like how common were women joining the military at this time? I would imagine not.
It was not allowed yet. So the local commander suggested that she try training as a nurse instead. But when Bokareva pushed back, he began to feel sympathy for her and suggested she try writing a letter to Tsar Nicholas II pleading her case.
Write
to
the
let her
president.
enlist.
Straight to the top.
Straight to the top. She is a semi-literate peasant.
Let's do
Oh,
it.
right. I forgot she was semi-literate.
She's literate enough to write a letter.
Am I allowed to like her yet? Can I like her?
You can. She was problematic, but you can like her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I like her.
Yeah. She was complicated.
Yeah. She was
Well-
problematic, but she was very much a victim of her circumstances.
We're
Yeah.
all multifaceted. No one
Yeah.
is 100% good or bad.
Yeah. You don't have to hate her.
Excellent.
So, so she followed the commander's advice, and also like just the fact that the commander didn't say this to like write her off. He wasn't
Right.
like write to the czar. Bitch.
LOL.
Yeah,
Pass the buck
yeah.
all
He-
the way up the ladder.
He really was like, "Oh, you
Would
want
be great.
to be thrown in the boiling cauldron of war? Okay."
Let's get
Let's-
you in
We
there.
need bodies.
So she later wrote in her memoirs, quote, "The commander was deeply impressed by my obstinacy and wanted to help me. He suggested that I should send a telegram to the Tsar telling him of my desire to defend the country, of my moral purpose, and beg him to grant me permission to enlist. The commander promised to draw up the telegram himself, so she didn't have to write it, with a recommendation of his own and have it sent from his office."
Wow.
So he was like, basically wrote her a letter of recommendation
Yeah.
to join war.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly, Tsar Nicholas II actually received this telegram.
And slid into her DMs.
Yeah, yes, basically. And personally authorized Maria Bokareva's entry into the Imperial Army. So she was
Wow.
the first. And he
Let
was
the
like,
bitch in.
Yeah, sure.
She
personally
slid into
authorized
his
it.
DMs, technically.
Big time. Yeah.
I mean,
He's
She
like,
Chris
she's got
Evans
balls.
the shit out of Lizzo.
She can go. She's got balls.
Okay, so according to several sources, Bokareva loved everything about military life. She cut her hair short. She was often seen swaggering around town in her uniform. She also visited brothels and men-only bathhouses and flirted with women.
love it.
God bless her.
Get
I love
yours.
this.
Mm-hmm. She eventually began using a man's name, the same name actually as her abusive ex-second husband, Yakov. But I'm not like dead naming her. She didn't like not go by Maria also. You know what I mean?
She was both.
Yeah.
There were different times.
Yeah. After 3 months of training, she began serving on the front lines in World War I.
You're ready.
3 months months.
You can lift these 2 buckets of water. You're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine?
I'm not ready to do anything after 3 months, but sit.
I mean, World War I, very much hand-to-hand combat, obviously.
Rough shit.
I feel like the front lines were sort of reserved for the less skilled soldiers.
Oh, they were just cannon fodder.
Disposable, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like,
But-
here, just take our first, line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
The good shit's in the second, third, fourth.
Yeah, they were not the
Rough.
cavalry.
Yeah.
So, but she distinguishes herself. So she dealt with incessant ridicule and sexual harassment from her fellow soldiers. I know you're shocked.
You don't say.
Thank God that's been cleared up.
She's like
We've
Mulan.
overcome it.
She's like Mulan, right?
Yeah.
Kinda.
Mulani.
Mm-hmm. So she later recalled that the harassment and ridicule seemed to stop once she had proved herself on the battlefield. She became known for her bravery in combat to her fellow soldiers, and they called her by the nickname Yashka when they grew to trust and respect her. So that's like a nickname from Yakov, which also kind of shows that, like, to them, she was like man
One of the
enough.
guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yashka also, I mean, I know nothing about Russian name conventions, but like it sounds like if it ends in an A, it's like a feminine, like a woman's name.
I don't know when that comes to the nicknames, actually.
It might be like,
Misha and stuff can be a man's nickname.
Well, I was
Right.
just noticing earlier on here, she married Afanasy Boshkarev and became
Bokareva.
Maria Bokareva. Like, so
Yes.
I added an A at the end.
Yes, not just the A, though. It's the Ava.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It might also be like is it in Spanish where adding like ita to the end is like a term of endearment?
Oh, like tiny, small.
Yeah. It
for,
might be
for
kind of
the
like
nicknames,
that.
like
yeah.
Yashka, like the Ka, I
Yeah.
think, is like a nicknaming convention to make something seem like little and sweet.
Yeah. That's kind of like
Billy and Johnny. And
Yeah, exactly.
Timmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Ava or Evna versus just Ev, like Nikolaev, is more of the like last name depending on male or female, depending on your father's name. Yeah.
The only reason I asked is because maybe like that's kind of their way of accepting her new, more like masculine name, but also just kind of like approving her as sort of in both ways.
Yeah, I think it was more the approving her as the man, but like in such a way that it was like friendly one of the guys.
Either way, as long
Yeah.
as they accepted her, I mean, I guess that's
Yeah.
the point.
So she, like we said, known for bravery, comrade's lover. She was wounded in combat several times, at one point sustaining an injury that left her paralyzed for 4 months.
Oh my God.
She then recovered. She received 3 medals for bravery. One resulted from actions that led to the rescue of 50 wounded soldiers
Wow.
that she personally
Damn,
saved.
Yashka.
So eventually she was promoted to the role of corporal and commanded 11 men. Just the fact that like the first woman in the Imperial Army is now commanding other soldiers.
It's kicking ass.
But by 1917, Yashka had become exhausted from the war that seemed to be dragging on endlessly and the lingering effects from the injuries she had sustained, which like she had been fucking paralyzed. So like obviously some spinal shit is going down.
This is a lot.
Mental shit.
And she was not the only one. So the constant military failures of the Imperial Army, combined with the scarcity of food and other commodities at home, had made the public turn against the war effort. Now we're going to get into some like Russian Revolution back and forth shit that I only barely understand. So no questions.
No questions. Got it.
So
You know more about Russian naming conventions.
I do.
And then the Russian Revolution.
I've read Anna Karenina and I've read part of War and Peace, and that's all I've got. So,
A lot more than me.
So, numerous disaffected soldiers joined angry civilians in the riots that led to the February Revolution, which resulted in Tsar Nicholas abruptly having to abdicate the throne. So the Tsar is out. And that is when eventually the whole Anastasia and the killing, and that's her dad.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Okay, I think.
Close enough.
So,
no way to know.
meanwhile...
I don't know. Anastasia
Pretty
was
sure.
voiced by fucking Meg Ryan. So it's not like that story was explained to me very accurately either.
Okay.
I love her eyebrow filler.
Anastasia Beverly Hills.
It's good shit.
Okay, so meanwhile, Lenin's Bolshevik party was gaining influence by promising peace, land, and bread, which, like, that would work today.
Right? Tonight I was
Work
like,
on me right now.
yes, I was lamenting over what I should eat before our recording tonight. And I got so overwhelmed with not knowing what to pick that I just chose bread.
Yeah.
I just ate bread.
It's always gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
I
So-
defaulted to quesadillas today for lunch, and that was the best decision I've made all month.
You did good.
Mm-hmm. So, Lenin's peace, land, and bread sounded much more appealing to the exhausted populace than continued war, especially now that the Tsar had abdicated. They're like, what are we really fighting for again? And, like, can war just be over and can we get
I
bread?
forgot. We've been doing this for
Yeah.
decades.
Can
We're
we be
peasants.
done?
Yeah. I'm, like, tired.
I'm
Um,
over it.
I've been wearing the same pair of socks for 4 years.
God. And they've been perpetually damp. And I haven't eaten in like a few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
So,
I can't with a damp sock.
countless, you're ready for the front lines.
I'm not ready. I am not. I'd be dead before I got there.
I can't. Yeah.
So countless soldiers in the Imperial Army began deserting their posts. They kind of saw the writing on the wall and they're like, we're out. And although she was exhausted herself, all of this gave Bokareva an idea. In a May 1917 meeting with Alexander Kerensky, who had recently become Minister of War of this new provisional government now that the Tsar had stepped down, she proposed a solution to the army's fatigue. The creation of
Monster energy drinks.
all female battalions.
Oh.
Because the guys are pussing out.
Literally, yes.
Oh my
Love
God.
it.
I love this.
So Bokareva believed that adding the female battalions would shame the men into continuing to fight and therefore improve overall military morale.
I mean,
I don't love where his head is at. Her head is at,
Right.
but sorry, I was
Right?
thinking it was the other
but
guy,
she
Alexander.
definitely understands the fragility of man.
Yeah.
True.
And she's going to exploit it.
And also, like,
I like it.
there's just, they've probably, like, recruited or enlisted all of the, like, available able-bodied men and young
Right.
boys that they possibly can get.
Yeah, so she's
Let's get some
opening up
women
a
in there.
whole new market.
Also,
So-
it can't be to just strictly shame the men into coming back. Like, she's well aware that women are entirely capable of doing this.
Yes. But that's how I think she sold it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Kerensky agreed to the unconventional plan. He would permit Bokareva to form what she dubbed, quote, the Russian Women's Battalion of Death.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. Can
New
we
band name.
get those t-shirts, please?
The Women's Battalion of Death.
Do they have a website? Do they have a merch site?
What's on sale?
Make the wedding hashtag for the Women's Battalion of Death.
I don't want to force it, but I will come up with something.
The Russian Women's Battalion of Death to Us Part.
That's good.
Crushed.
Okay.
Crushed it.
Maybe.
So,
You can outsource your niche shirt business to me.
yeah,
every
you're
now and
hired.
then.
Oh,
I'll be a
you're working at
freelancer.
the Emporium now.
So Kerensky issued her uniforms and weapons for this new battalion and provided instructors for training. During an evening of political speeches at the Something Something Theater on May 21st, 1917, Bokareva gave a speech encouraging Russian women to enlist and defend their country. The speech, which was printed in newspapers the next day, stated, quote, so she's probably doing this off the top of her head or like, just speaking because like
Barely
semi-literate. Yeah. Men and women citizens, our mother is perishing. Our mother is Russia. I want to help save her. I want women whose hearts are pure crystal, whose souls are pure, whose impulses are lofty. With such women setting an example of self-sacrifice, you men will realize your duty in this grave hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would almost get me to enlist. And then I'd stand up and walk toward wherever I have to go to enlist and go, oh, there's walking.
You would not be accepted, and we will get to it. You'd be turned away. So the speech attracted over 2,000 volunteers for service, but only 500 met Bokareva's high standards for who she would enlist in her battalion of death.
Wow.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Some standards were physical, but others were moral. In her memoirs, she claimed, quote, I sent away 1,500 women for their loose behavior.
Loose as a bitch in heat.
Loose as a goose on the...
I love that she's
On the
turning women
loose.
away for being loose, but like she herself was like a victim of sex trafficking
Right.
and then also a client at brothels.
I mean, internalized misogyny is a very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she might also have wanted to like put on the front of
she
like
has-
having a highly curated battalion.
Mhm.
Yeah, she wants to like prove that this idea can work. And so she wants like the best of the best. And in
Yeah.
her eyes, also like to improve morale and not like complicate things, which is probably one of the first like downsides that,
Co-ed soldiery.
right.
Sneaking into each other's barracks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well,
nothing
Jude-
gets you hornier than like hand-to-hand
Uniforms.
combat. Well, I mean, actually,
Uniforms, hand-to-hand combat.
War.
if there's like a really good chance you're gonna die the next day,
Mm.
you kind of just want to fuck, right?
Yeah, the boiling cauldron of war. Hello.
I mean,
It alights the loins.
I'd watch that porn.
Yeah.
Enemy at the gates.
Oh, fuck.
Saving
I forgot about
Ryan's
that movie.
privates.
Yeah, that's a hot scene. And you don't see anything.
Oh, shit.
You don't have to see it to imagine it.
Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
Lucy's gotta go.
Whoa!
So it's likely that some women also left voluntarily when, she was like,
Had to walk.
yeah. So Bokareva was an extremely harsh commander and was not popular with her female recruits. So she was probably, how like the TA, like the student TA is always like way harsher than the professor.
Yeah, they're trying
Try to prove
something.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So one Russian historian later wrote that, quote, she is convinced that the only way to turn them into soldiers is to divorce them from any hint of femininity. She has their hair shaved. She denies them toothbrushes.
Ugh.
She wants them to spit and swear and act as masculine as possible. So,
I mean, I got her there.
what?
Those parts I can do. I can
Oh.
spit. I can swear.
Yeah. I do
Amanda
like a
doesn't even own a
toothbrush.
toothbrush.
Tell them what you
one
did.
time.
Tell them what you did.
And to be fair, I owned one. I just forgot it at home.
For a couple weeks.
No. That was like our first day in Texas on the next leg of tour.
That's true. We were only gone for 6 days, but it took you...
The second day we were there to get a toothbrush.
I think she was only missing it one day.
I brushed my teeth the morning I got it with a Q-tip, and then we went and got a toothbrush.
Okay.
So
thought of brushing my teeth with a Q-tip is so
Better than nothing.
gross.
it's better than nothing.
So after only a few weeks of training, the Women's Battalion of Death departed for the Western Front to take part in what became known as the Kerensky Offensive.
They didn't even get the 3 months that she got.
Weeks. 3 weeks.
But 3 weeks without brushing your teeth? Ooh.
Yeah.
I'd be
long
ready
enough.
to go to war, too.
Be ready to kill a man.
I'd be ready to just get whatever over with.
I don't care if I die. My mouth is disgusting.
Whatever it is, if it's death, if it's victory, let's just move
Get
forward.
it over with.
Let's go.
Fucking go!
So this campaign
It's actually an excellent strategy. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Let's go.
Get this train rolling!
I don't care if it's death, if it's victory.
As Lucy once said, sometimes death is a mercy.
Sometimes. Especially if you haven't brushed your teeth in weeks.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to taste my own mouth anymore, I
Give
don't
me
care.
Listerine or give me death.
So this
I'm a scope
campaign
gal.
was basically a last-ditch effort to get the Russian public back on board with the war. Kerensky hoped that a victory or toothpaste would improve morale and also increase support for the provisional government. In the lead-up, Bokareva was promoted to the rank of lieutenant.
Get it?
The news of the fantastically named Women's Battalion of Death had traveled far and wide by this point, and several international war journalists had traveled to the front lines just to cover the story.
So this name is equally as dramatic in Russian as it is in English. Like, this is an absurd, maybe not, but like a very dramatic name.
It's dramatic.
It's dramatic.
Intentionally.
But also, like, Russia, I feel, is just inherently dramatic. So I wasn't sure if that's just like we'll mark you down as the Women's Battalion of Death. Like, no big deal.
I mean, I don't know. I don't speak Russian, but I feel like if you put death in the battalion's name, it's going to draw some attention. And then just the fact that it's a women's battalion and then it's like of death,
That's true.
you know?
It
And
sounds
also-
like a, what's it called? The roller derby.
It does.
Sounds like a
yeah.
sick roller derby team.
That
That's actually
would
my
be-
case, is the origins of roller derby.
And then they strapped on their skates and lost World War I. Probably because they were wearing skates.
And then they strapped on their skates and lost World
Skates
War
and
I.
trenches do not mix.
Not great. Not until they finally paved the trenches, and that's how we got the half pipe.
That's what happens when you only have a couple weeks of practice.
Right.
This is
Okay, so
horrifically off the rails.
So among these international war journalists were female journalists Florence Harper, Bessie Beatty, and Louise Bryant, more badass bitches in their day. These women, who were active in the women's rights and suffragist movements back home, found Bokareva to be a complicated figure.
Skater.
Skater.
A figure skater.
She seemed much less concerned with the advancement of women's rights than with her own unwavering dedication to the war effort and to defending her homeland from Germany. So she was way more about Russia and war and whatever than she was about, like, women.
Mm-hmm.
Women.
And her claims about the duty to fight often seemed entirely divorced from the actual political situation in Russia. Hint, their side did not win. It was already looking very bleak when she started recruiting all these young women.
And they sent in the whammo.
That's why they sent up that Hail Mary.
Literally, Hail Maria.
Hail Battalion of Death.
So at one point she described how defeating the German forces would bring about, quote, a new world coming to life, a purged world, a happier and godlier one. But ultimately, these groundbreaking female journalists would all go on to write sympathetically of the Bolshevik Revolution and the Russian people's desire for peace.
Okay.
So they were like, interesting,
Uh-huh.
but we're siding with the other guy.
Maybe on the wrong side of
Thank you so much for your viewpoint.
So the Women's Battalion of Death was involved in one major battle during the offensive, the Kerensky offensive, where they performed really well. They succeeded in pushing past 3 trenches and into German territory. That sounds good.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was too late in the broader war effort. Even the prospect of being outperformed by women could not motivate the rest of the army to continue fighting, and people were still deserting right and left because, they were def gonna lose.
They were fucking over it. The writing was on the wall.
So Florence Harper wrote in one of her dispatches from the front lines, one of those journalists, that the Women's Battalion of Death had failed, but that it was, quote, a splendid failure.
My epitaph.
Splendid failure.
Yeah.
I only strive.
Yeah. If there
For
was a
this.
way to make a splendid failure nail art.
Yeah, they won't fit.
No.
I need it.
Yeah. So the male soldiers mutinied and refused to take part in battle and began to fraternize with the German soldiers, their enemies, even going so far as to drink together in the trenches. They literally were like, we're done.
Yeah.
The overall
I
current.
tried to throw up a white flag, but everything I own is stained. So
Turns out everything is just mud.
brown.
My pit-stained flag. Next.
And if I leave this trench, you're gonna fucking blow me to smithereens. So
All that will be left of me are my skates.
yeah, my
you-
smoking skates.
Can you imagine, the first Russian to be like, you guys want a beer? Are you as bored as
Vodka?
we are?
So the overall offensive became a military catastrophe, ultimately weakening support for the provisional government, leading to the Bolsheviks taking power in the October Revolution, which was after the February Revolution, after which they withdrew
don't
from the
say.
war and disbanded Bokareva's unit and several other female battalions that had also been formed since.
No questions.
Now I lost my place because I was going too fast.
You're right here.
Where'd I go? Where am I? Thank you.
Next bullet point, halfway down the page. Bakareva.
Bokareva
Hey, Bakareva. I
had also been wounded in the fighting during the offensive and was briefly detained and questioned by the Bolsheviks, but was released and given permission to return to Tomsk. So it turns out it's really hard to fight a civil war while you're also fighting a world war.
yeah.
Basically,
It's a lot of juggling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take that. You
It's a
took
lot
on
of yuggling.
Yug.
it's a lot to juggle. So basically, in the Civil War, her side loses, and now the Bolsheviks are firmly in charge, and so she is kind of a target. In 1918, however, she's detained again, this time on suspicion that she was affiliated with the anti-Soviet White Army. This time, she's sentenced to execution.
Also, my grandmother was 1 year old.
Good God.
Yeah.
R.I.P. It was time.
Oh my God!
Yeah. My grandmother was almost walking when this happened.
Maria could have given birth to your grandmother.
Probably.
Oh,
Wow.
time is fucking wild, y'all.
So she's sentenced to execution, but she's rescued by a soldier who had served under her back in 1915 and who had enough influence with the Bolsheviks to convince them to stay her execution and grant her a passport to leave the country. So
I like
she
that.
she was admired enough by a male soldier underling to save her. So she gets the fuck out of Dodge. In April of 1918, Bokareva left by steamship for the United States. Her trip was funded by a wealthy American women's rights activist named Florence Jaffray Harriman. She arrived in San Francisco and eventually made her way to New York City and then Washington, D.C., where she was granted a personal meeting with President Woodrow Wilson.
She slid into another country leader's DMs.
Yeah, see the guy with the big dick?
No,
Oh, that was LBJ.
that's LBJ. Woodrow Wilson
BJ.
founded or had the idea for the UN.
Oh, that's neat.
Anyway, so I just love that she talked to the czar, became
Talked
a
to the
lieutenant,
president.
talked to the president. She begged President Wilson to intervene in Russia in a plea that moved him to tears, but he did not intervene. She then returned to New York and dictated her memoirs, Yashka, My Life as a Peasant, Exile, and Soldier. to a Russian immigrant journalist who translated it into English.
Cool.
So she's written a memoir. She's met the president.
She's an illiterate author.
Next, she traveled to England, where she met King George V.
What the fuck?
And the British suffragist Emmeline Pankhurst, who's like a big deal.
This bitch can network.
Mm-hmm. But Bokareva's one true love was always Mother Russia, and so she made the fateful decision to return to her homeland to form a women's medical unit for the White Army. So she's like, whatever, new guys are in charge, that's fine.
I was going to say, she must have had a way to bypass her exile.
But before she could complete her task, she was captured by the Bolsheviks. She was interrogated for 4 months before once again being sentenced to death. And this time, nobody came to save her, and so she was executed by firing squad on May 16th, 1920, as a, quote, enemy of the people.
My God.
And are you ready for the twist?
No.
She was executed by her abusive husband.
No, not that I know of. But all of this happened in her life. Exiled twice, 2 marriages, childhood, trafficked into a brothel, became a lieutenant, started a battalion, met the king, met the president, met the da-da-da. She was 30.
What?
She was 30 years old.
When they killed her by firing squad?
Yep.
She was 30.
30.
30.
Yep.
All right. Well, you've successfully made me feel horrible about my life's accomplishment.
We started a
Singular.
podcast.
Literally
we met
singular.
Nancy Grace. Czar Nancy Grace.
Yeah.
I met Obama once. That was a couple times, but that's probably my greatest accomplishment.
Yeah, she did all of that in 15 years. 2 exiles, 2 husbands, became the first woman in the army, became a corporal, became a lieutenant, started a battalion of death,
Changed
trained
the face
hundreds
of
other
the Russian military during the First World War.
Yeah, met U.S. president,
Baptized my grandmother.
British king,
Gave birth to your grandmother.
mentored my grandmother,
Oh my God.
Did she mentor your grandmother?
was like an early lesbian.
Wow.
Oh
Yep,
my God.
30.
That just gave me heartburn.
Yeah.
I
So
feel
that's
so bad about myself.
I didn't do anything today.
I know.
Did you brush your teeth?
Yeah. Okay, I brushed my teeth.
Yeah.
Which is more than some of these women did in 2 weeks.
You know, I really didn't do much today either. I had paint toenails on my to-do list and didn't get to it.
Oh.
Okay, I did a lot today compared to the two of you,
I
but
tried on 4 bathing suits.
I mean, I signed some paperwork, wrote some emails, got my eyelids tattooed. So I got some stuff done. I had an hour of therapy. You know, I did some
good.
things.
That's good. Got my eyelids tattooed. Anyway, that's Maria Bokareva.
I'm busy. I'm too busy for war.
Shall we hear
although your eyelids would look amazing in the middle of war.
They would.
They would, yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't have to do your eyeliner before battle.
Thank God.
Battle.
I can't manage to do my eyeliner without battle, which is why I got these done. Can you
It's
imagine?
a battle to do my eyeliner.
I can't do it. I'm never good at it.
Honestly, having my fake lashes for like a full year and a half,
Yeah.
I don't miss it, but like in my heart, I kind of miss it.
That's
I know.
fair.
I'll never
They
go
looked
back,
great.
but they looked so great.
They're so damaging. But if
Yeah.
I happen to find myself in the trenches in Russia in World War
You'll get your
One,
lashes.
I look fucking fine. I look good.
Are we ready for my case?
Maybe not.
It's not as brutal as Kenyon's.
That
But-
wasn't brutal. I'd say it was inspiring.
Yeah, but there's war.
Okay.
So I love any excuse to learn about badass women in history, so my sincere thanks to our fan picker for today's episode. I'm going to be talking about infamous liberator Nanny of the Maroons, aka Queen Nanny.
Nanny of the macaroon?
No.
Nanny of the maroon fibers?
No. So Queen Nanny's origin story is shrouded in mystery.
I'm just picturing the dog from Peter Pan.
No.
Is this person actually named Nanny, or was that their occupation?
Her name, her birth name is unknown because she was sold into slavery.
Oh.
Okay.
So
an enslaved woman.
yes.
Got it.
Gotcha.
So her origin story is shrouded in mystery. No one knows exactly when she was born or her name at birth, but it is historically understood that Queen Nanny was born in what is now Ghana, West Africa, around 1686.
Okay.
While it is unclear whether Queen Nanny arrived in Jamaica as a free woman in the late 17th century or arrived there as an enslaved woman, she and her 4 brothers were sold into slavery in Jamaica and sent to work on a plantation. Before long, they escaped the plantation and took to the mountains and jungles of eastern Jamaica or Windward Jamaica. This area was already established by formerly enslaved Africans who had been freed by their Spanish captors when the Brits took Jamaica from Spain in 1655.
So more complicated geopolitical shit.
Well, so then the Spanish captors were probably just like, fuck you, Britain. We're freeing all of our slaves. Like,
Basically.
good luck.
Yes.
Right.
Basically. So when the Brits took over, the Windward Maroons staunchly refused to be taken back into slavery, and the combination of rugged conditions in the area that they'd settled in and their skills as fighters, they were able to maintain their freedom.
Amazing.
With the arrival of liberationist Queen Nanny and her incredible leadership, a portion of the area became known as Nannytown and continued to grow as a refuge for freed and escaped enslaved Africans.
So she just kind of, through, like you said, her leadership skills, she was just kind of recognized by the community as being a leader.
Oh, she establishes herself as a leader.
Okay.
And she
so
has...
They bestow upon her the title Queen Nanny.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she goes by many iterations of
Right.
Nanny, but Queen Nanny is like the most popularized one.
Because there's not an actual like monarchy in Jamaica. There's no
No.
queen.
It was all
was just a
colonized
nickname.
by the... I mean, technically there is a monarchy because it's all colonized by the British, but not in
true.
Jamaica itself as like their own established government.
Sovereign.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a colony at this point.
Gotcha.
So this refuge that they'd settled in was high above and away from English settlements and plantations, and that served, like, the terrain alone served as protection from the attacks of angry white colonists who wanted their quote-unquote property back.
Human property or land
Yes,
property?
that's why I put it in quotes.
Human.
Like they're
enslaved
people.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you weren't talking about the actual land that they were
No,
occupying.
no, they
Fucked up either way, but like
They
way
can't
more fucked
cultivate-
up as human property.
The more fucked up one.
Right.
Yes.
The Brits were not like skilled enough propagators and farmers to properly cultivate
Like
the
the
terrain
mountains.
that they had settled in. So they
They just
didn't give a
wanted the
fuck about the
people.
land. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So though Queen Nanny was not one to shy away from a fight, she was also a skilled diplomat and settled many disputes through peaceful means, including farming and trade. So like she had skills in both and would trade those skills and actual like farmed items for peaceful, interaction with her now neighbors, basically. But this did not keep her from successfully raiding nearby plantations and liberating over 1,000 enslaved Africans throughout her reign.
Oh my
Fuck
god.
yes, Queen Nanny.
She's a fucking badass. Oh,
Damn. That's
She gets-
amazing.
I am obsessed with her.
How are we not learning about these people in fucking school?
Because all of our systems are
I know.
colonialist, racist bullshit.
I know.
So she was such a successful liberator, in fact, that she pissed off the British, who were deeply embarrassed by being undermined by being
They were
undermined
deeply pregnant.
by a black woman. So the Brits assembled hunting parties who were sent into the unruly Jamaican jungles and mountains to attack Nanny Town.
And be interviewed by Oprah and systematically take down the monarchy.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically Nanny Town's mission. So this attack would turn into all-out war that began in 1720 and lasted 19 years before a truce was finally declared in 1739.
I mean, that sounds like a long time, but how long has the U.S. been in Afghanistan?
20.
No, for sure.
Literally 20.
And it's we're not going to get into the truce itself because that's kind of where the story ends, but it's important to note that like a truce with the British is not great. Like for these folks,
any native people in the
exactly
US,
for
US.
Exactly. So basically, these communities of free Africans were only allowed to live unattacked if they agreed to fight for the British when needed, to not harbor any escaped enslaved Africans, and to even help the British capture escaped enslaved Africans, which I don't think they were like, yeah, sure, okay, we'll do that. And then they like didn't do it.
Which they also did. The Brits did the same thing during the American Revolution.
Yeah. So
They
the truce was fucked.
freed enslaved people if they fought for the Brits.
It's super exploitative where it's like, we'll stop attacking you if,
Yeah.
but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. So between 1720 and 1728, the Windward Maroons, and Maroons are like a West African people that now live in Jamaica.
Okay.
Because
held
in
down-
French, it means brown.
Sure.
So that might be where it came from.
Could be.
But if it's like a societally acceptable term there, then I'll take it.
Yes. So they held down Nanny Town. It was captured by the British on multiple occasions throughout that like first 8-year stretch of war, but each and every time Queen Nanny led the Maroons back to victory with their skilled combat tactics and understanding of the brutal landscape.
Yeah.
So they were situated adjacent to a ravine with only one road to access the town, and people like soldiers couldn't even stand shoulder to shoulder on that road. They had to go up the road single file.
Oh, yeah. So they were just like, you're not getting in unless we let you.
And they were able to just pick off the Brits.
Yeah.
They were like
as
up
they
on
tried,
a hill.
Yeah,
as they
it's
tried
like
to get up there.
Guerrilla warfare. They're not fucking around. They know.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
They had like a natural fortress almost.
They did.
Yeah.
Which is like exactly why they wanted to settle in that area.
Good strategy. Yeah.
It is. And they were also able to trick the Brits into ambushes and lure them toward hordes of hidden Maroons people who were so skilled, like even up against the better armed and equipped British troops, they were just, the Brits were no fucking match for them. The Brits tried to retaliate with night raids, attempting to kill them as they slept, but many accounts indicate that these raids didn't lead to much bloodshed, with deaths only in the single digits, while they were picking off the Brits by like the hundreds.
Yeah. Oh, floral in spring, revolutionary.
Right? Bright red floral. So Queen Nanny was the mastermind behind the Maroons' military tactics. There were other Maroons communities across Jamaica, and Queen Nanny established a means of long-distance contact that allowed these communities to mobilize and support each other against British invasion. So she did this by crafting horns made from carved cow horn, like literal
Like a
hollowed out
shofar.
cow horn. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And there's like a bunch of really stunning artwork of her, and in almost all of the artwork, she's like clutching her horn.
That's so cool.
And these horns were capable of signaling lookouts with sound that carried over extremely long distances. And the Brits did not have this kind of communication capability and were unfamiliar with the sound and like what it meant. So they weren't able to decipher its meaning, and this gave the Maroons a huge advantage.
Amazing.
They also mastered the art of camouflage. Quote, oral history recounts that Nanny herself would cover her soldiers with branches and leaves, instructing them to stand as still as possible so that they would resemble trees. As the British soldiers approached completely unaware that they were surrounded, they would swiftly be picked off by the Maroons.
Hell yeah.
My God, I love this. Early ghillie suits.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. But like, it's so intense to imagine it.
I don't. Do they have like gunpowder, like guns at this point, or is this like
Oh, yeah, they did.
okay? But did the
Like
Maroons
muskets.
have it?
No.
Well, they probably like confiscated some.
Correct.
From the
They
ones
like
they
acquired
killed.
it, but that was
Yeah.
not.
They didn't have a supplier.
No.
Yeah.
They absolutely
Right.
did not. And guns were not part of their tactics.
It was
Like if
probably-
they got their hands on guns that they had confiscated from British soldiers that they picked off, sure, but it's not like Kenyon said, they don't have a means to get like more ammunition, so they don't really
Right.
have
Or
I was gonna
gunpowder.
right.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's probably
It's not
a lot easier
sustainable.
to get the gun than the gunpowder.
Exactly.
So they're just like using like earlier, like the hand-to-hand combat, like
Yeah.
knives and.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, they
whatever.
don't have a giant colonial power
Nope.
shipping them supplies.
It's literal guerrilla warfare. They're
Yeah.
just they're very skilled fighters. So British hunting parties were mostly made up of British soldiers who were very easy to see. I mean, they're primarily white, although a lot of the Brits did recruit like enslaved or recently freed Africans to also fight on their side. And by recruit, I mean like extort.
Force them.
Yeah,
to,
force. But they were easy to see. They also were in uniform. Like these
Right.
uniforms are
heavy, bright red.
yeah, heavy
red and white.
Yeah, it's
Have
not
your
they're not blending
gold
in.
shit all over it.
So while the Brits would be like scouring large stretches of jungle seeking out the Maroons were so good at camouflaging themselves that they could watch these soldiers walk like within inches of them without the soldiers seeing them. And British soldiers would document the jungle coming to life and chopping their heads off,
Oh,
which is like the most badass fucking thing I've ever heard.
maybe
'Cause that's
you
how it
could
felt to
leave
them.
then.
Right. Because they would
God.
And I
like,
do kind of feel bad for some of these, like, because like these British soldiers, it's not like they're like wealthy either. War sucks.
I mean,
hot
war
take.
sucks, but I'm not going to feel bad for
No,
I mean,
white
if
colonists.
we're
Yeah.
boiling it down to ideology of both parties, then
No.
I'm definitely on the side of the Maroons here.
But like, it
talking
sucks to
about
have your
an
head cut off.
individual, like a yeah, just all these
Yeah, but like if you-
individual
yes.
costs of war.
there, a life is a life. It doesn't matter whose.
Sometimes
but-
it matters.
I mean, if it's like
So
an-
Queen Nanny also
You know what I'm
guided,
saying?
also guided the Maroons in, like taught them how to make small undetectable fires so that her soldiers could like cook and sustain in the jungle without being detected.
That's cool.
mini
um,
fires,
Sorry?
mini fires.
Yeah, just like little fires and then like how to cover them, basically making like little like ovens.
and like hide
So
the
that
smoke,
smoke
and
isn't-
everything. Yeah,
Exactly. Isn't just flowing up. She also taught her soldiers like slowed breathing practices so that British soldiers couldn't hear these soldiers, even again, if they were coming within inches of them at either in their hiding places or camouflage.
That is fucking badass. These
It's
are like
so
fucking
badass.
like Navy SEALs
Yeah.
I was
So-
saying
hanging out.
like
They're like green berets in the fucking
Mhm.
Jamaican jungle.
the word that leapt to mind was like Buddhist, like almost like meditation. But then
Yeah.
obviously I
I
don't
mean,
want to
that's
attribute
essentially what
Buddhism
they're-
to.
Yeah, that's like what they're it's like meditative breathing that's slow and
It's like using your mind and your intentions to kind of control your bodily, like your limbic system.
totally. That's
It's so interesting that we both went to like these badass female military commanders in history.
yeah.
Well,
don't
we
know.
don't learn a lot about them otherwise.
No, we don't.
I've never heard of Queen Nanny and I've never heard of Yashka.
Mm-mm. So Queen Nanny's tactics were so good that many rumors began to spread of her use of magic to imbibe the Maroons with such skills.
She must be a witch.
Exactly. It's been suggested that Queen Nanny was a practitioner of Obi, which, quote, is a system of spiritual healing and justice making developed among enslaved West Africans in the West Indies. Obi is not a rigid set of practices in the way that, like, we understand organized religion. And historians attribute the naming and definition of these practices to white colonizers, particularly law enforcement, who wanted to demonize traditional spiritual practices of African peoples. Quote, different Afro-Caribbean communities use their own terminology to describe the practice, such as spellcasting. Among the Jamaican Windward Maroons, Obi is similar to other African diaspora religions, such as Palo, Santeria, and Hoodoo, in that it includes communication with ancestors and spirits and healing rituals. Nevertheless, it differs from religions like Voodoo and Santeria, in that there is no explicit canon of gods or deities that is worshipped, and the practice is generally an individual action rather than part of a collective ceremony or offering.
Yeah, she was probably teaching them meditation and basic yoga.
Well, she was like an herbalist. She's a spiritualist. She's a healer who's using the items in her environment. Yeah.
Well, then, of course, like Western-born Christian people are just oh, it's Satan.
Right.
I don't get it.
Shit.
She's connected to her ancestors and the earth and is a fucking badass, like, military
strategist.
Leader. Must be a witch.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of incredible legends about Queen Nanny, and here's another one. Legend has it that Queen Nanny's spiritual practices and deep connection to her ancestors is credited with saving the Maroons in 1737 when, quote, at the height of the Maroon resistance against the British, Nanny and her people were near starvation and she was on the brink of surrender when she heard voices from her ancestors telling her not to give up. When she awoke, she found pumpkin seeds in her pocket, which she planted on the hillside. Within a week, the seeds grew into large plants laden with pumpkins that provided much-needed food for the starving community.
A week? Pumpkins take forever to grow.
That's what you don't believe? Not that she woke up with pumpkin seeds in her pocket.
They take a lot of water
grew so fast.
It's apocryphal.
It's a legend.
Right.
It probably didn't happen this way.
Right.
I mean,
She had
I'm into
the
it either way.
foresight to plant some pumpkins, and they came in handy.
There you go.
Yeah.
To this day, one of the hills near Nannytown is known as Pumpkin Hill.
Love it.
There are also legends of Queen Nanny being able to literally catch bullets with her bare hands, which sounds bonkers, but is actually a developed art form in some parts of Africa.
I'm
Didn't
sorry,
wear gloves.
what? That's a real thing?
Bullet catching is like a thing. It's like an art form of entertainment.
Okay, they're not automatic rifles.
No, it's
they're
muskets.
not pistols. It's
Right.
muskets. It's a musket.
It's way
ball.
slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's physically actually possible.
1,000%.
Not easy.
Not for me.
Exactly. So
I was
there's
trying to pick up a dead fly earlier with my fingers. I couldn't do it. Let alone a live
bullet
fly.
catching
let
is
alone
not
a
in
bullet.
Lucy's
None
future.
of us are prepared for the rigors of the boiling cauldron of war.
No, I just got this eyeliner done. There's also
And
just
fade
did
in
my
the
nails.
sun.
yes. There's also a bit of lore that is one of the most absurd and kind of amazing things I've ever heard. That Queen Nanny could catch bullets with her butt and fart them back at soldiers.
Oh,
Clearly, this was a British twist on Queen Nanny's skills as a fighter and
this sounds
possibly
like kind of
her real
racist.
ability to catch bullets with her hands, but the Brits were so fucking butthurt that this woman who was consistently destroying them over the course of decades that they had to spin some vulgar bullshit about her.
Also,
But whether-
bodies of African women
Yeah.
with like a larger backside, like the focus on the butts of African
it's racist,
women.
it's misogynistic,
Yeah.
they absolutely created these stories to
Right.
strip her of her humanity and
Right.
and
But because they were fucking afraid of her.
because they were terrified
Right.
of her because she's fucking unstoppable.
Right.
So like own it. Sure, I'll fucking fart bullets back at you assholes. At the end of the day, you're going to end up dead.
Yeah. Enjoy
You're
that
losing
fart
your
bullet.
way.
Yeah. So, much like Queen Nanny's birth, her death is also shrouded in mystery, though Captain William Cuffey is credited with shooting and killing Queen Nanny in 1733, allowing for the final capture and abolition of Nannytown by the Brits in 1734. Quote, others said that the British had not destroyed the Maroons, nor did they kill Nanny. She and some of the survivors took refuge, it is believed, near the Rio Grande in Jamaica, end quote. When Maroon leaders signed a peace treaty with the British that we talked about earlier, the one that's not great, but ended this 19-year war anyway, part of the agreement was a 500-acre allotment of land, which was referred to as New Nannytown and is now known as Moortown. Those who believe in her survival say she lived there until old age, dying peacefully of natural causes around 1750, which is what I'd like to choose to believe. Another Maroon legend, and possibly my favorite of them all, claims that if any straight-haired white man goes to the original Nannytown, he is immediately struck dead.
Okay.
So,
Well,
that area is sacred.
stay the fuck out.
Stay the fuck out.
Did Queen Nanny have a hand in your grandmother's, like, education? Or
I don't think so, because they
Slightly
were like
before
ships
her
passing in the night. Yeah.
Yeah,
They didn't. They missed each other by less than 100 years.
1917.
I feel like your grandma
Well, no,
gets
more than 100
older
years.
every time we talk about her.
I know, right? No, but it's true. So whichever, end of Queen Nanny's life you choose to believe, she is regarded as a hero in Jamaica and is still honored to this day. Her face appears on their $500 banknote, which is the largest note in circulation in Jamaica. Damn. And she was also given the honor of, quote, Right Excellent, which is a rarely awarded heroic honor in Jamaica. Currently, there are only 7 such heroes, and Nanny is the only woman.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Look at her on that
Queen
bank
Nanny.
note.
Isn't she so badass? And then I put the banknote. I put the banknote and some art of Queen Nanny on the drive for the blog. It's
The
just
banknote is super badass.
so gorgeous. And so there's one, I think I don't know if, there's a painting of her with a horn and then pumpkins.
Oh, Queen Nanny.
And a statue.
Beautiful.
So beautiful.
Mhm.
I love all the art of her.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I like her in the pumpkin field.
Mm-hmm. And that like amazing black and white warrior queens. Drawing is so fucking good.
Yeah.
pumpkin
I love
With
her.
horn.
Oh, there it is with the baby.
God bless Queen Nanny. Rest in power.
I'm a fan of Queen Nanny.
Oh, yeah. Well, very cool. Never, ever knew of that story because of our limited white supremacist colonial upbringing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Me too.
Thank you to our fan picker, Aubrey Kloop.
Aubrey Kloop.
Kloops off to you.
Kloops off to you,
Thanks
Aubrey
for
Kloop.
klooping us into this awesome topic.
So good.
was
Loved it.
Amazing. And
Right?
we will see you next week with another amazing episode.
And hopefully my eyes will be healed. Because blinking hurts.
And she'll be ready for the front. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.